Today I am going to show you how to restore your foggy yellowed headlights permanently for about $10 a light. And I mean permanently, not the 6-month fix everybody else shows you. And I want to start by telling you why every other method you have tried failed, because that is the whole point of this video. The store kits, the toothpaste, the baking soda, the vinegar, the bug spray trick, all of those do the same thing. They polish the yellowed layer off, and they work for a while. But they all stop at the polishing, and that is exactly the problem, because polishing leaves you with bare, unprotected plastic sitting out in the sun. Within 6 months to a year it is hazy again, and you are back out there with the sandpaper. Some kits tell you to keep applying a sealant or a wax every so often, which is just admitting the fix is temporary. Here is what is actually happening to your headlights, and once you know it, the permanent fix is obvious. Your headlight lens is not glass, it is polycarbonate plastic, and from the factory it came with a hard protective coating sprayed on the outside. Over the years, road grit, sand, and rocks chip that coating away, and the sun finishes the job. Once the coating is gone, ultraviolet light attacks the bare plastic directly, and bare polycarbonate turns yellow and chalky when the sun gets at it. So the yellowing is not really the problem. The missing coating is the problem, which means the permanent fix is simple. Sand off the damaged plastic and then replace the protective coating that the factory put there with a real ultraviolet resistant clear coat. That is it. That is the whole secret, and it is the one step every temporary method leaves out. And this matters for more than looks. Hazy headlights genuinely reduce how much light gets on the road in front of you, which is a safety item, and they drag down the value of the car because nothing makes a vehicle look tired like two cloudy yellow eyes. Meanwhile, a new headlight assembly on plenty of vehicles runs $100, $250, and on some modern ones well past that. So $10 a light is a very good afternoon's work. Now, before we get into it, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy these mechanic secrets and hacks for free, consider subscribing. It is free, and you can always change your mind later. Now let's get into it. Before the shopping list, one thing about the money, because I want you to see the whole picture. Walk into a parts store and a headlight restoration kit is $15 to $25, and it will make them clear for a season. Have a shop or a mobile detailer do it, and you are looking at $80 to $150 for the pair, and unless they seal it properly, that is temporary too. A dealership will happily quote you replacement assemblies instead, and depending on the vehicle, that is anywhere from $200 to well over $1,000 for the pair once you factor in the labor and the aiming. What we are doing costs about $10 a light in materials and lasts the life of the headlight. That is the trade you are making with one afternoon. Here is your complete shopping list. Sandpaper in 400 grit, 600 grit, and 2000 grit, a spray bottle of water or a hose, rubbing alcohol, paper towels, and low lint ones for the final wipe, painter's tape, and a garbage bag. And the one item that makes this permanent, a can of clear coat made for plastic, and it has to say non-yellowing and ultraviolet resistant on it. Read the can. If it does not say that, put it back, because a clear coat that yellows on its own puts you right back where you started. All in, about $20 of materials, which does both lights and leaves you plenty for the next vehicle. One more piece of preparation. Do this on a day that is dry, not too humid, and not blazing hot, and do the spraying in the shade. Clear coat behaves badly in high humidity, where it can dry cloudy, and it behaves badly in direct hot sun, where it flashes off too fast and goes rough. A mild, dry day in the shade gives you the best finish with the least skill required. Check the can for the temperature range and respect it. Step 1. Decide whether to remove the headlights. If they come out easily on your vehicle, take them out. because this whole job is far easier on a bench and you can spray them evenly from every angle. On plenty of vehicles they are a nuisance to remove, and that is fine. You can absolutely do this on the car. If they are staying on, tape all the way around the lens with wide painter's tape and leave a good margin so there is no painted surface exposed anywhere near where you will be sanding. And whether they come off or stay on, wash both lenses with soapy water first and dry them. Any road grit still sitting on that lens gets dragged around under the first piece of sandpaper and puts scratches in deeper than you intended. Step 2, the 400 grit, and only if you need it. If your lights are badly yellowed and rough to the touch, start here. If they are only mildly hazy, skip straight to the 600 and save yourself some plastic. 400 is coarse, so use it with respect. Everything about this is a wet sand, which means the lens is soaking wet and the sandpaper is soaking wet the entire time. The water is a lubricant, and it carries the removed material away so the paper does not clog and dig gouges into the lens. Keep spraying as you go, and do not let it run dry. With the 400 grit, work in circular motions and do not press hard, because the grit is doing the cutting, not your arm. Watch what runs off the lens. You will see a milky, yellowish liquid coming down, and that is the oxidized plastic leaving. That is exactly what you want to see. Get into the grooves and the corners where the haze hides, because a missed corner shows up plainly at the end. Now here is a detail almost nobody explains, and it matters. After you have gone around in circles, finish your 400 grit pass with straight horizontal strokes, all in one direction, across the whole lens. Why? Because when you spray the clear coat on later, those fine horizontal lines give the coating an edge to grab and hold, and they make it far less likely to run. Circles first to remove material, then horizontal to finish. Do that at each grit. At this point the yellow should be gone. What is left is a uniform haze from the sanding itself, and that is correct. Step 3, the 600 grit. And if your lights were only mildly hazy, this is where you started. Same routine, soaking wet, circles first. With the 600, you can press a little harder than you did with the 400, because it is finer. You will see much finer plastic particles coming off now instead of that milky yellow, which tells you the oxidized layer is gone and you are simply refining the surface. Then finish with the horizontal strokes again. By the end of this, the lens should feel genuinely smooth to your fingers, just cloudy to look at. Now stop and clean the lens with water and a paper towel before you move up. This step gets skipped, and it should not be. The 2000 grit is very fine, and any loose plastic particles left sitting on the lens will clog that paper immediately and ruin your final surface. Step 4, the 2000 grit. Wet again. Very light pressure here. You are only skimming the surface, knocking down the scratch pattern the 600 left behind. Circles, then the horizontal finish one last time. When you dry it off, the lens is still going to look hazy, and I want you to expect that, because a lot of folks panic here and think they have failed. You have not. That haze is thousands of microscopic scratches, and the clear coat is going to fill every one of them and make the lens optically clear again. Hazy and smooth is exactly where you should be. Step 5, clean it properly. Dry the lens with a paper towel, then wipe it down with rubbing alcohol on a low lint towel. The alcohol does two jobs. It removes the oils from your fingers, and finger oil under clear coat causes fish eyes and lifting. And it flashes off fast, so the lens is bone dry in a minute. Step 6, mask everything and be thorough about it, because overspray on your hood or bumper is a much worse problem than the headlight you came out here to fix. Cut open a garbage bag, lay it over the front of the car, tape it down tight, then cut a hole over the headlight, cutting a bit wider than the light itself so you have room to run a final ring of tape right up to the edge of the lens. Tape all the way around so nothing but the lens is showing. Give it one last alcohol wipe and let it dry. Step 7. The clear coat, and this is where the job is won or lost, so read the can and follow it. Shake the can properly first, a good full minute, and then test your spray pattern on a piece of cardboard before you point it at the vehicle, because a spitting nozzle discovered on the headlight is a problem and discovered on cardboard is nothing. Hold the can 8 to 10 inches away and move it across the lens in one steady sweep, starting the spray before you reach the lens and releasing it after you pass it, so you never start or stop the spray over the work. The number one mistake is going heavy. Thick coats run, and a run in clear coat means sanding it back and starting over. So light, even passes, keeping the can moving, overlapping each pass by about half. Your first coat is going to look disappointing. It will look uneven, and you will see what is called orange peel, that slightly bumpy texture. That is completely normal, and it is not a problem. Wait about 5 minutes and put on a second light coat. Wait another 5 and a third. 3 or 4 light coats is right. As the layers build, they level themselves out and the clarity comes up, and by the last coat it will look genuinely wet and clear. Make sure you catch the top edge and the corners of the lens, because those are the spots that get missed, and they are the spots the sun hits hardest. And keep the spraying away from anything you care about, including the wind. A light breeze will carry clear coat mist a surprising distance and land it on the vehicle parked next to yours, so look around before you press the nozzle. Then leave it alone. 24 hours undisturbed out of the weather to cure to full hardness and full clarity. This is the hardest step for most people because it looks finished after an hour. It is not. Give it the day. The next day, pull the garbage bag and the tape off and look at what you have. Optical clarity, close to a new headlight, with a real ultraviolet barrier on it that bounces the harmful light back out instead of letting it eat the plastic. Now you have 2 options. You can leave it exactly as it is, which is what most folks do and it looks great, or if you want it perfect, you can knock down the orange peel with a light wet sand using 2000 or 3000 grit, plenty of water, very gently, and then polish it. That is a finishing touch, not a necessity. Either way, the last step is a coat of Carnauba paste wax applied and buffed off just like you would wax paint, because that surface is clear coat now and it likes wax the same way your paint does. And here is the moment I want you to have. Stand back and look at the front of the vehicle, because 2 clear headlights take years off a car's appearance in a way nothing else at this price can. Folks spend hundreds on wheels and trim, and it does less. This is the highest return per dollar of any cosmetic job on a vehicle, and it improves how far you can see at night, which is the part that actually matters. And that is a permanent restoration, not 6 months. The whole reason this lasts is that we did not just remove the damage, we replaced the protection, which is the one thing every kit and every home remedy leaves out. Now let me answer the questions that always come in on this one. Can you use a drill or an orbital sander instead of sanding by hand? You can, and on a badly gone lens it saves your arms, but keep the speed low and keep it moving constantly, because that plastic will melt if you hold a spinning pad in one place, and a melted lens is a new headlight. Low speed, always moving, light pressure. What if you sand through into the lens too far? You cannot really sand through a headlight the way you can burn through paint, because the lens is thick plastic all the way through. What you can do is create deep gouges with too coarse a paper, or leave a wavy surface. Both are fixed by going back to the finer grits and evening it out before you spray, so there is no disaster here, just more work. Does the tint or the smoked look version work? Some folks want a smoked lens, and there are tinted sprays for that. My advice is do not, because you are deliberately reducing the amount of light reaching the road at night, and depending on where you live, that is not legal either. Clear is the correct answer on a headlight. How long does it really last? On a properly prepared lens with a genuine ultraviolet clear coat, you should get many years, and realistically the life of the vehicle for most people, with nothing but the occasional wax. That is a completely different proposition from 6 months. What if only one headlight is bad? Do both anyway. Two lenses at different levels of clarity look worse than two matched ones, and you already have the materials out. Now, 2 honest cautions before you go. First, the test I always give people. Run your fingers over the lens. If it feels rough and pitted and looks yellow on the outside, this method is for you. If the outside feels perfectly smooth and clean, but the light still looks cloudy, then the haze is on the inside of the housing, and nothing you do to the outside will fix that. That one means opening the housing or replacing it, so do not spend an afternoon sanding a lens that is already fine. Second, if you are shopping for a used vehicle, foggy headlights are useful information. They tell you the vehicle spent its life outside rather than in a garage. And that means the paint, the rubber seals, and the dashboard have all had the same sun exposure. It does not make it a bad vehicle. It just tells you what kind of life it had, and now you know one thing you can fix cheaply on the very first weekend you own it. And a third thought, which is the reason I bothered making this video at all. Somebody watching right now is being quoted $600, $800, $1,000 for a pair of headlight assemblies on a perfectly good vehicle, and the only thing wrong with the ones on the car is a coating that wore off. That is the whole problem, a coating. $20 of materials and an afternoon puts it back, and the vehicle looks and lights better than it has in 10 years. That gap between what a repair costs and what it is sold for is the thing I have spent my whole retirement pointing at. One last thing on keeping it. Once the clear coat is on, treat those lenses like paint. Wax them a couple of times a year. Keep bug remover and harsh solvents off them, and never take a dry rag to a dusty lens, because dry wiping is how the fine scratching starts all over again. Do that, and you will not think about your headlights again for as long as you own the vehicle. Down in the comments, tell me what you have tried on your headlights before this and how long it lasted. Because I want everybody watching to see just how temporary those other fixes really are, and I read every single one. And if you do this job, come back and tell me how it turned out and what vehicle you did it on. Until then, sand it, seal it, and stop paying $200 for a lens you can fix in an afternoon. Don't let them sell you a repair you don't need. I'll see you in the next one.